Origin just Homes UX, and this is US Navy's Dilemma. The new Osprey is too good, but channel Know What You Think. Yes, it's another Know What You Think video. I haven't, Osprey is there, that changing the, rotors basically folding and everything, right? I saw the Know What You Think video about how he like went to that amphibious stealth ship. There's also like Federation video I watched about one of the helicopter that basically looks like that, but I'm guessing this took inspiration from that one, the original one, right? The Chinook. So this is, I think this took inspiration from that, but this one is like, changes the rotor, like folds and everything, which is like awesome when you see it, right? I don't know when this was, like made or launched. I'm guessing it must be recent, right? If it has that kind of technology, I don't know, but it's gonna be awesome. Let's watch it. Remember, flag my so no for subscribe. So I know we start videos to react to more. I like military style videos like this. I've been watching videos like this recently. So if you haven't seen those, check out the link in the description. And yeah, let's watch one.
The US Navy is replacing its C-2A Greyhounds, the primary aircraft in charge of making urgent deliveries to aircraft carriers anywhere around the world. And by urgent, I don't mean one-day Amazon deliveries, even though Amazon packages do get delivered to aircraft carriers. The C-2 Greyhound has had a long career with the US Navy since the 1960s, but it's now being replaced with a tilt rotor, the CMV22 Osprey. Yes, it looks like the MV-22 that the US Marines have been now using for a while, but just a bit chubbier on the cheeks. Can the CMV-22 actually do everything that the C-2 is doing right now? Absolutely. In fact, it's capable of doing much more. But why as it stands, the Osprey would be unable to reach its full potential with the US Navy is not what you think.
Yeah, see, the thing is, like, I like how the rotors are so big, right? So if somebody mistakenly like tilts it forward, it could hit the ground while it's on the ground. So pilot needs, I don't know, there might be electronic things on the board that make sure if you like touching the ground, it will never be in that position or something, or not. So a pilot can fuck up and basically destroy those rotors. That is insane. Like the rotors are really big compared to that.
Flying a cargo plane directly to an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean is quite expensive, and that's why it's limited to transporting urgent packages, parts, and aircraft engines. Critical personnel may also be flown in if needed, and at times, emergency evacuations are performed to take someone off the aircraft carriers. All of that is done with the help of the C-2 Greyhound. Everything else, like Amazon packages, mail, food, supplies, and fuel, are all delivered using a second method.
Okay, what's with the monster? Why is monster? Even the military is like, we need to have monster. I get it's energy drink, even I use it, but why Monster? Like nobody uses Red Bull or something? Like recently I've been realizing like Monster has like a real monopoly on things. Is it just better than Red Bull? What is happening? Isn't Red Bull like older than the Monster? I don't know, but that is insane every time I see it.
Supplies and fuel are all delivered using a second method, underway replenishment, which is done with the help of a supply ship. The CMV-22 Osprey is what's replacing the C-2 Greyhound. The Osprey is a tilt rotor that can take off and land like a helicopter but transit as a turboprop aircraft. The CMV-22 can carry less payload, 6,000 pounds, compared to the C-2's 10,000 pounds. But the Osprey makes up for this by being able to carry external cargo, allowing it to transport oversized loads that do not fit inside the C-2. When it comes to operational range, both the C-2 and the CMV-22 have a similar range, except that the Osprey can be
basically this is like Chinook and C-2 mixed together. C-2 is like the forward plane, Chinook is the helicopter with two rotors. This basically combine both. Because in C-2 like it's a forward moving plane, right? So you can't really like attach things in the bottom, how you gonna land it, right? But this is like both, right? This is basically like F-35B but in like a helicopter version. So for a carrier, it's just awesome.
Fueled mid-air, giving it much more range if needed. But it's probably the Osprey's ability to perform vertical takeoff and landing that really gives it an edge. The C-2 is catapult launched and lands on the carrier with the help of arrestor wires. During both takeoff and landing, a huge amount of force is experienced by those on board, which may not be a big deal for the crew, but could be detrimental for someone with a medical condition. In February 2021, a sailor who had experienced a stroke needed to be evacuated from aircraft carrier USS Carl Vinson. Given his critical condition, evacuating the sailor on a C-2 Greyhound could have been fatal during the catapult launch.
Seriously, like, anything like blood pressure is the issue during this kind of time, right? And if you're experiencing this kind of like G's, basically like takeoff and even landing, yeah, you might as well, you're gonna have like even major stroke. Bleeding would be insane. At that point, you're probably dead. So yeah, for something like that, for anything medical related, this is not gonna work. So for that Osprey would be awesome, I guess. You can slowly lift up and slowly move away. Yeah. Osprey is a new thing, right? Because I've been watching that a lot. I mean, seeing that a lot in a lot of other ones, like even the movies. But in the old movies, I was not seeing that. So I'm guessing this is the new one.
Thankfully, a CMV22 was on board, which was used for medevac for the very first time, saving the sailor's life. In another example, one of the catapults broke down on aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, and the support element that was needed for the repair had to be picked up from shore and flown back to the carrier. Of course, the C-2 Greyhound could have used any of the remaining 3 catapults to fly out. The issue, however, was that there was no runway near that particular support facility, so multiple hops would have been needed to bring the repair element back to the ship. The CMV-22 saved a lot of time by flying there directly. We should note that in both cases, a helicopter would not have had the operational range to fly from the carrier and make it all the way to shore. Even if it did, because the Osprey can switch to airplane mode in horizontal flight, it can fly much faster than a helicopter. CMV-22 has a cruising speed in the range of 305 miles per hour, almost twice as much as conventional helicopters. The most notable visual difference between the existing V-22 variant and the CMV-22B is the fuel tank extensions to the forward portion of the sponsons on either side of the aircraft. The CMV variant will also have an improved fuel dumping capability to dump fuel in flight during emergency situations. The additional fuel tanks were necessary to ensure the CMV-22 can have the operational range needed to perform carrier onboard delivery or COD, which is its primary mission when replacing the C-2s. But this Osprey is a game changer for the Navy because it can do much more than just delivering cargo. The CMV-22s could be equipped with the V-22 Aerial Refueling System or VARS, which will allow them to refuel other aircraft like FA-18s or F-35s. This will allow the F-35s to reach target areas as far as 1,000 miles away if refueled by the Osprey. The US Marine Corps has been testing this capability for a few years now, but it's unknown whether the US Navy would include this capability for its CMV-22 fleet. The US Navy currently has 2 carrier-based aircraft that can operate as tankers in order to perform aerial refueling. One option is the FA-18F Super Hornet, which can be equipped with external tanks in order to provide fuel to other aircraft. Until a few years ago, Super Hornets were the only carrier-based aircraft covering tanker missions during deployments on the carriers.
See, one thing I'm realizing about FA-18 Super Hornet is like these are the heavyweight, not just heavyweight, the main jets the US is using everywhere basically. They're not using F-22s. They're not using any other ones. Like in some scenarios, so, but mostly it's FA-18. I don't know, it's just like operations needed. I guess it's like carrier is needed there, and usually it's like always FA-18, right? And yet, if you search on YouTube right now, there is not much of any videos about F-18. Like nobody talks about Super Hornet. Very few. It's like which that channel, right? Which the guy channel, forgot. He has one video, sure, about how Super Hornet not sexy, but it's good type of way. Like I don't know, like not looking good type of way. That's the title. Like I mean, FA-18 looks good. What you talking about? But there's not much of video about that. Like I don't understand that. Is one of your like heavyweight, not the main thing, the main jet that you're using? It probably replace F-14 Tomcat, and yet you're not talking about it. You're talking about all the other jets that nobody uses. Actually, it's like not being used because there is no operation that fits that. All the things the US is involved with usually have a use of F-18. Nobody talks about F-18 for some reason.
But this meant that they would reach their 6,000-hour service life several years earlier. The second option is the MQ-25 Stingray, an aerial refueling drone. In June 2021, the MQ-25 conducted its first refueling operation, providing fuel to an F-A-18F Super Hornet. The Ospreys can also be equipped with multiple mission packages. I can see some of you getting LCS flashbacks, but this is different. The rear ramp of the Osprey allows for different mission packages to be installed in its cargo bay. For example, if an E-2 Hawkeye cannot operate for some reason, a special communication package could be installed to turn the CMV22 into a communication node. Similarly, an electronic warfare roll-on roll-off package has been successfully tested by the US Marine Corps. The Osprey would also be equipped with a beyond line-of-sight high-frequency radio and improved command and control capabilities to provide line-of-sight communications beyond the horizon. In addition to this, the CMV22 accommodates a crew of 4 plus 24 troops. This can allow the Osprey to deploy naval special warfare forces, either with the help of low or high-altitude parachute drops or with a combat rubber raiding craft. This all sounds great, but there is a little problem. The US Navy originally planned to procure 48 Ospreys, but that number was later reduced to 44. As of December 2022, the US Navy has only received 19 of them. Because the CMV-22 can do so much more than the C-2 could, during high-demand situations, the multi-mission aspect of the Osprey may result in reduced availability for its primary mission as a logistical asset. The V-22 platform is also already a bit of a maintenance hog, and its cost per flight hour is very high. As more fleet elements tap into this asset, the aircraft could see pressure on its availability and readiness. The Navy currently only has enough Osprey airframes and personnel for the primary COD missions. To use these additional capabilities, more aircrews, more maintenance personnel, and more Ospreys are needed. The Navy cannot do all these additional missions with the same number of aircraft, and if they did, there would be no availability for COD missions. The fleet is expected to fully transition to the CMVs by 2028. Currently, the Pentagon is not planning to buy any additional Ospreys for any of the military branches beside what is currently on order.
I mean, the last point is basically whenever somebody like shifts to some other thing, that always happens, right? Availability, mechanical issues, whatever, like maintenance might be an issue, all the logistical issue. Yeah, of course, that happens every time you have something new. But over time, like 10 years from now on, they'll be like integrated enough that it will be working, right? That's the same issue I'm pretty sure F-35 has as well. But yeah, it will take time. That happens every time there's something new. But yeah, this is like, see, that's the thing about US I'm noticing. They're so good at making shit and like making things at high level that they are not thinking of making something even more higher. They're thinking of making something more like, like integrated, like one thing doing all the job type of way. F-35 can do all the jobs. There you go. Osprey, that's like also a plane but also a helicopter mixed together, so it can do multiple jobs. It's like ease of access. That's what US is looking for, right? Like how to do the job really efficiently. Efficiency is what they're looking for rather than just dominance, because they already did the dominance thing decades ago. They don't have to go over the top more, right? And all the opposition is not even at the level of US at this point. Like 5th generation fighters and things, not at close to US. Like their radar cross section is so big. Is that even a stealth, right? Only US has proper stealth one, right? So they're looking for like efficiency. Like when the war happens, you must have one equipment that does a lot of job, and so all the mechanics know how to repair it. And it's just logistics is what they're forcing on, right? They're making efficient logistics, I guess. There you go. So that is something, right? That's where US is like at the level right now. They're trying to do all this shit while everybody else is trying to catch up. Alright, well, that was US Navy's dilemma. The new Osprey is too good. New Osprey is too good. It already looks awesome. The way it folds, it's not just like tilting, but also folding of the wings. That's so good. Rotors, whatever. If you like my Rickson, subscribe, and yeah, I guess I'll see you next time.